Welcome to this week's episode of Boogie's World. So, we're in week 3 of our Sermon Sunday series of freedom for the month of July. So, the theme for week 3 this week is having freedom is knowing that the Lord is always with us, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. So, and it's obvious, like the text for this is 2 Corinthians 3:17, which says, "For the Lord is the Spirit, and wherever the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom." So a time in my life that I felt free was, 3 years ago, 3 years ago, about 2 years ago, I was at this church, and they had this freedom conference. It was for 2 days. Yeah, it was for 2 days. And at this conference, it was like we had to be free from something. And so at the time, I was holding on to a lot of things, and I wasn't free from those things. And when I was able to be free from them, like, I started just like weeping. And that's when I truly felt free from what I was going through. And so when I think about where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom. I think about like true revival and being free from your past and your trauma that happened in your life. But I also think about the prodigal son returning home to his dad after leaving and wanting nothing to do with him. And in Luke chapter 15, verses 11 through 32, it gives us the whole rundown of the prodigal son being forgiven by his father when he returned home. So the summary into that is, the father had 2 sons, and the younger son wanted his shares right away and wanted to just have nothing to do with his dad. The younger son packed all his things and moved to distant land and wasted all of his money. So he moved away from his parents' house, went to somewhere far away, and just spent all his money. The young man worked in the field and got so hungry, he started to look at the pods that the pigs were eating from. If you're eating food that pigs eat, that just makes you realize like you're at the lowest of lows in your life. And that also makes you realize, like, why am I living like this? Like, I need to change. And so the young man comes to his senses and would go home to ask his father to be his servant. But when he returned home, his father ran to him and gave him a big old hug. His father threw a big feast because his son was lost and was found. Now we can't forget about the older son, because the older son was also in the picture. The older son got angry and wondered why he was never thrown a feast. And so this is where his father tells him, "Look, dear son, you have always stayed by my side, and everything I have is yours." So how can this be applied into our life today? When we get lost in our way and God is calling us back to him, that's God telling us to bring our problems to him so he can carry the weight and set us free from our sin and set us free from everything we're carrying and stuff. And just like it says in Matthew 11:28, then Jesus says, "Come to me, all who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest." It's like lifting weights. You're holding the bar, and then 45 pounds get put on the bar, and then add another 45, add another 45, add another 45, and there's a point where it gets so heavy that you're not able to carry it anymore. And once you put more 45s on there, the bar just starts to drop. and it's too heavy to even pick up now. But what God is saying, let me take those weights off and let me carry it for you. Let me be the one to carry all your problems. Let me be the one to take what you're going through, what you're struggling with, what you're holding on to. Let me carry all that. Let me be the one to help you with your struggles. Let me be the one to control your anger, control your temper. God just wants us to talk to him. God just wants us to bring our problems and issues to him because he loves us. He cares for us. He created us perfectly in his image. And so the questions that I have are, how can we be free from our sin? What are some struggles that we can bring to God? And how does God forgive us when we are lost? And so overall, I just think that if you're going through something, as a believer, you can bring your problems and worries to God. If you're carrying a heavy burden, you can bring it to God. If you're struggling with something, with a sin that you can't let go of, a struggle you can't let go of, or something that you've went through in your past that has been a problem for years, give it to God, because God is always there for you no matter what. God will help you with anything you're going through when you're struggling with something and when you bring it to him. And so that is it of this week's episode. We'll be back next week for week 4 of Sermon Sundays. Peace.